Yo, what's up, everybody? Um, it's a new day, and I don't know why I'm so tired, but here we are again. Um, so yesterday we were discussing a about let me remember what we did yesterday. But if you remember what we did, that would be awesome. Um, mm, what did we do yesterday? Let me read you in the chat because I don't remember. Feelings and emotions. I got it. Yeah, thank you, Lucas. Okay, so today we're gonna deal with grammar, and yesterday we were dealing with lexical items or vocabulary. So I'm gonna start sharing with you my screen right now, and we're live on YouTube. Um, so here we go. Today we should be studying about direct versus indirect questions. Okay. There is a question on the left, which is what are the main differences between direct and indirect questions? So in this case, we can see on the right the difference between them. Direct questions, for example, often appear in quotations or a first-person narrative versus indirect questions, which does not appear in quotations, for example. That's one thing. Another use in this case is the indicative mood in this case versus the subjunctive mood. Okay. Also, it is exactly what the speaker said, and the indirect questions, captures the idea of the speaker, but does not use the exact words. Also, direct questions are independent clauses, and indirect questions are dependent clauses, right? So this is pretty much like the structural difference, and also the pragmatic difference in this case. I'm gonna show you like more examples, and so you can see clearly, the difference between them. So first, you got a direct question, which is pretty much like a regular question. Where is Tondo Street? That's a direct question using WH words in this case, or question words like where, what time, how much, etc. And in the indirect section, as you can see here, we got a positive word order in this case, but it's still like a full question. For example, can you tell me where Tondo Street is? So what is the difference between these two, direct and indirect, that we introduced in this case? On indirect phrase at the beginning, like for example, can you tell me? Do you know? Could you tell me? May I ask? May I know? Etc. Right? So that's pretty much the main difference. You introduce these phrases, these indirect phrases at the beginning, and then we continue the question in this case with in this case like a relative pronoun, like for example, where, what time, how much, what, and things like that. So as you can see here, we use pretty much the same word like in the direct question, but in this case, this is the question word or a WH question. And in this case, the function changes. It's exactly the same word, but the function is different, or the use is different in the indirect questions. They're not called WH, questions. They're called in this case relative pronouns, right? So, and it's because they are working in this case as connectors. So, can you tell me which is the indirect phrase in this case? Is connected through where, and then with the rest of the, in this case, subordinate clause, right? Or subordinate phrase in this case. So, can you tell me where Tondo Street is? Got in this case this structure, which is more complex than the direct question. Also, indirect questions are way more formal. Okay, so when you use indirect questions, is like pretty much like different contexts, like not like regular context. Like for example, if you're lost in the street and you need to ask somebody who you don't know, you can use indirect question, like please can you tell me where Tondo Street is? So it's like you wouldn't ask that to a friend, you will be more direct. So it's indirect questions are more polite, absolutely. What else? Something that I am missing. No, I'm still sleeping. You see I am awake, but the reality is that I'm sleeping inside. And yeah. So for example, we got again another example. I'm gonna read the chat. Same. Yeah. So yeah, I feel you. So what time does the supermarket open? That's the second example in this case. So pretty much the same thing, we use what time as a connector in the indirect question, like a relative clause. So do you know is the indirect phrase. What time is pretty much the connector, and the supermarket opens. So now I would like you to notice that when we end the indirect question, we can use, of course, the same words or similar words as in the direct question, but we change the order. That's why it says positive word order, because this part of the indirect question is, in this case, expressed with the positive word order. So Tondo Street is, not where is Tondo Street. Why? Because this order, in this case, this structure changes in the indirect question. So you know that it is a question because of the beginning of the phrase. When you say, can you tell me and do you know, that is marking the question, right? So the rest of the big question should end with positive word order. You start interrogative and then you end with positive or affirmative. I know it's kind of like a contradiction in itself, but that's the way it is. That's pretty much English, like a whole paradox. So can you tell me where Tondo Street is? So remember that thing, because I've seen a lot of times, English learners in general, using the same word order here as a direct question, because they say, can you tell me where is Tondo Street? And like when in the real world, like when you ask that question, it's like nobody cares. It's like, yeah, okay, it's that way, no problem. Like pragmatically, it's not like pretty much important. But if you're gonna be an English teacher, and everybody knows that you're an English teacher, and you say, can you tell me where is Tondo Street? Everybody will be like, what? Like they would freak out, because like they will crucify you. So I don't want people in society to crucify you because you're saying, can you tell me where is Tondo Street? So you remember this. Also, for example, do you know what time the supermarket opens? You check out this part, You take the supermarket, but then you put the conjugation of the simple present tense in this case. Supermarket opens, and you're like, what? It's like because it breaks the rules. Um, because everybody knows that in a question we use the infinitive form of the verbs. Like in do you know or can you tell, they are bare infinitives. But this case here is absolutely it isn't it isn't even, I mean, it's not an exception, it's pretty much like the rule. No, it's the rule of the indirect questions. So we have to learn it that way. Same here. Could you tell me how much you earned? You see, but this is pretty much like the simple present conjugation. May I ask what he is doing? You see, what is he doing? May I ask what he is doing? So if you can remember this thing, you're gonna be like using the right structure if you use, in this case, in the second part of the question, the affirmative order, right? May I know what your last name is? Okay. And yeah, you're gonna be showing that you know English, you know what you're talking about, right? And the second section, we got like short or yes no questions in this case, without WH questions. Like, for example, are you living in London? Does John like flying? Did she go shopping? And was she a teacher? So in this case, we add as a connector in this case, if whether. Okay. We keep, of course, the affirmative word order in this case. And for example, the indirect phrase should be, I'd like to know, or do you know? Like pretty much like the previous example. I am not sure, or can you tell me again? But in this case, we use as a connector in this case, if and whether, because we are dealing with, in this case, yes, no questions. Okay. So, and also you can see that we are dealing with indirect questions and indirect sentences, or indirect expressions or phrases. Okay. So for example, the first one, it's not a question. Second one and the fourth one are questions, but not the first and the third. I'd like to know if you're living in London. So this is pretty much like indirect sentence, right? Second one, do you know whether John likes flying? That's pretty much like an indirect question, but using whether. And what is the difference between whether and if? Whether is used when there is an implicit opposition of ideas. Okay. It's like, for example, you know that you can use, do you know whether John likes flying or not? Okay. So it's normally like an implicit idea that there are two options, yes and no. Okay. So you may end the question saying, do you know whether John likes flying or not? Yeah, but also you can omit the last part, because like the English speakers know what you're talking about, know that when you say whether, unconsciously they know that there is also like another option, yes and no. So they just omit the last part, because it's pretty much like it's okay to say that or not. But in everyday language, it's like it's the economy of the language. Just that's it. They especially in American English, they used to they like to use few words. The fewer the words, the better. With the next one, did she go shopping? In this case, I'm not sure if she went shopping. In this case, as you can see, this is a phrase, an indirect phrase, in which you got the introductory indirect phrase, which is I'm not sure. Then you got the connector, which is if, and then positive word order, like she went shopping, because number three, in this case, the example is it's not a question, right? It's an indirect sentence. Now, the difference between whether and if you check out if in the examples, there is no implicit opposite idea, right? It's just a condition in this case, but it's like a more open conditioning. Because you can say, I'm not sure if she went shopping or not. It's not correct to say that. It's not quite right. You can add, for example, or not with whether, but not with if. Okay. So it depends on the intention of the speaker if you use whether or if. Okay. So when you want to lead the conversation into a yes/no situation, you use whether. But if you want to show that there are more than two options, you use if. You leave it like more open, the conditioning in this case. Okay. I don't know if you got that part, but I'm pretty sure that you get it. And finally, can you tell me whether she was a teacher? Same thing, you know. Can you tell me whether she was a teacher or not? So you really want to know in this case, like yes or no. All right. And yeah, at the end you can see in this case like a summary of the introductory indirect phrases in this case. I'd like to know if, or I'd like to know whether. I'd be interested to know if, blah, 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 blah. All right, really formal. This is indirect questions and phrases are really, really formal, okay? But you can use them into a real context too. Let's continue. This is pretty much like more explanations and more examples. You can see in this section right here, other opening phrases include, can I ask you, like to start an indirect question? Do you have any idea? Would you mind telling me? What, why, where, who do you think, blah, blah, blah. I was wondering if, for example, I was wondering whether, but it depends on the rest of the idea, you know, the context to use whether and if. I wonder if, normally I wonder if. I'd be interested to know, I'd like to know, I want to know. So all of them are, in this case, like introductory phrases or opening phrases in this case, right? And more examples here. I wonder where Derek is. You know, I wonder where Derek is. Same thing as the previous slide. Use me pregunto, see, like in Spanish. ¿Dónde está Derek? When you do the the interpretation into the mother tongue, the order is pretty much like me pregunto dónde está Derek, but in English it's like a different structure. So always remember that, because normally the mother tongue, in this case Spanish, interferes with the mental English grammar. So when we want to think in English, we need to remember the English structure and not translate. If we start like translating like really fast, we're gonna make mistakes, you know, like structural mistakes. So that's pretty much also the idea that you have to work in your mind that You have to think in English and not translate. If you're still translating in your mind, I mean, it's okay, but it depends. You know what content. If you want to use like contrastive grammar, that's okay. But if you want to speak like fluently and accurately, you need to form the phrases, the English phrases in your mind using the English structure. Yeah, and you're gonna become faster, faster speaker. And what else here? We got more examples of a lot of opening phrases in this case. Like do you know, I've forgotten, do you know, etc. So what we can do right now is the following thing. I want you to think of indirect phrases, um, like any idea that you would like to type in the chat room. So use this opening phrases, like I'd be interested to know, could you tell me, do you have any idea about blah, 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 and use this opening phrases and then complete the idea with, for example, a relative clause like where, what, who, or if and whether. Okay. So because time is flying, and it's 9:20. We got 10 minutes left, so we're gonna do that now. Yeah, we're gonna type our examples in the chat room, and then we're gonna, discuss after that. All right. And if we got time, maybe we can do some online exercises too. But first, I want to read your examples. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna start with the first example. Hold on. My example is, you can start typing if you want. Do you know whether whether there you go. Okay, that's my example. You can follow me now. Fabian, could you tell me who Josuke? Okay, I don't know why I thought this one, but there it is. No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Could you tell me who? All right. So Fabian, in this case, are you sure about who is Josuke or who Josuke is? What do you think, Fabian? Julian, do you have any idea how to cook a cake? Awesome. Very good. Do you have any idea how to cook a cake? Josuke is. There you go. Yeah, you got it, Fabian. No problem. And I know who Josuke is. um, okay, anybody else? I have no idea if the government paid it. I have no idea if the government paid it. Yes, that's correct. Got in. That's correct. Good job. Excellent. I have no idea if the government paid it. Yes, absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Good job. Good job. More ideas? gonna type another one. Could you tell me why COVID isn't dangerous at the curfew? That's a good question. That's a really good question, Ivan. And the structure is perfect. Good. Could you tell me why COVID isn't dangerous at the curfew? Yeah. It becomes a good person. It respects the militaries. More examples? I don't remember question 5 of the test. I don't remember question 5 of the test. I don't remember question 5 of the test. It looks good. It looks good. I don't remember. Yeah, Julian, see, looks good. Where do you think you would, for example, put the connectors in this case, or a relative pronoun? Maybe if weather, or I don't remember. I don't remember whether, I would say maybe, I don't remember whether question 5 was right or wrong. For example, you can yeah, complement the idea. But I think it's a really, really good try. More examples? Anybody? Okay, we still got like a few minutes, so we can do in this case like online exercises. Okay, I'm gonna open this one and this one. All right, let's do this one first. Let's do this one. So, for example, oh, hold on. Okay, there we go. It's a little bigger. What's her name? How would you complete the indirect sentence in this case? Like a little help in this case in Spanish, like using constructive contrastive grammar. Estoy durmiendo. Contrastive grammar. Dime cuál es su nombre. That it sounds in Spanish like that, Dime cuál es su nombre, por favor. Something like that. And you can use the same, for example, question word in this case, and you use it as a relative pronoun in this case, like a connector. So you can type it in the chat room, the number 1, or you can use the microphone, whatever you want.
Tell me which is her name.
Okay, tell me. In this case, I would very close, very close. Tell me what her name is. Okay, tell me what her name is. So in this case, you can use the same question word, and then we use the affirmative order, right? Number 2, where is the cinema? Fabian, where the cinema is. Exactly. There you go. So you can use the same question word, and then you change the order where the cinema is. Perfect. That's the idea. Next, where are my documents?
I want to know where my documents are.
Perfect. Good job, Ivana. Excellent. I want to know, or I want to know where my. Me acordé una canción. I wanna know what love is, but it's too old. I wanna know where my.
Ah, yo me acuerdo una de las Toys, eso vale.
There you go. There you go. Where are your colleagues? The next one. Where my documents are got. That's a good one. God damn it. Good, good. Where are your colleagues? You must tell me where your colleagues are. Good job, Karen. Good job, Karen. Good job. You must tell me where your colleagues are. Nicely done. The next one. What will you do tomorrow? What will you do tomorrow? Yeah, remember to switch the tense into affirmative. You know, that's the most important part. In this case, it's not necessary to use if or whether, for example. You can use what also. You got the option to do that. What you will do. You got it, guys. Yeah, there you go. I'd like to know what you will do tomorrow. There you go. So yeah, one important thing too here is to when you read the phrase, it has to make sense. You know, it has to make sense because the the context leads you to use what. Because if you use if and where, if and whether, sorry, in this case, it's kind of a weird wording and also interpretation, right? So be careful with that part. What do you know about Tom in this case? What do you know about Tom? This one is kind of interesting because it's yeah we one thing, yeah, we need to get rid of the auxiliary verb. So in this case, we don't use do. We just take it off. You know, we put it, we get it off in this case, and we can use, of course, what, no problem, and the rest of the sentence, but with no auxiliary verb. So he wants to know. Y es como raro porque como él quiere saber lo que tú sabes, una cosa así. Él quiere saber lo que tú sabes, chico. Es como la idea. So, what you know exactly, Fabian. Good job. He wants to know what you know. There you go. About Tom. And this question mark está so wrong there. Esto no debería ir ahí. Tienen que eliminarla mentalmente porque no vale. Because it's not a question. It's an indirect sentence. The next one. How much is it? This one is easy. How much is it? I don't know.
How much it is?
There you go. Perfect. Good job, Ivana. I don't know how much it is. Okay. Good job. Good job. How much does it cost? The next one. Can you tell me? And we need to get rid of the auxiliary verb. The does is off. Any ideas? Perfect. Good job, Julian. Nicely done. Can you tell me how much it costs? And we conjugate cost with the affirmative as like simple present tense. Nicely done. Okay, we are 5 minutes 5 minutes late, but yeah, good job, guys. Good job. Excellent. Any questions about the indirect questions and sentences before we finish?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
What?
No problem.
Why do we have to remove the auxiliary verb?
Good question. In this case, the last part of the indirect sentence is pretty much like the affirmative form, okay? But it's yeah, it's like it stops being like an interrogative phrase, and then it is converted into an affirmative. So in this case, but if we leave, in this case, if we leave the auxiliary verb, it puts more emphasis. Okay, it puts more emphasis. It doesn't mean that it is wrong, but it is used to indicate more emphasis. But if you're not gonna use it that way with the emphasis, you need to pull it off. Absolutely. Yeah. Any other question? No more questions? There you go. There you go. Like using using Ivana's question, like for example, can you tell me how much it does cost? That's correct, but it is because you're using the emphasis in this case. Like, como me puedes decir cuánto cuesta de verdad? So in that case, you can use the auxiliary verb. Y no se usa das costs, hay que sacarle la S en ese caso al cost. Okay, thank you very much for coming today. Parece que fuera viernes, pero es martes. So have a great day and see you next week. Bye-bye.
See you, teacher. Bye.
Bye.
See you, mister. Take care.
You too.